and today we're having a live chat with Chris Chaplan from Chaplan Swim Schools. To give you a little bit of information about Chris, Chris is a third-generation swimming teacher and coach. He's a competitive swimmer and the current state 60 to 65 state surf rescue tube and rescue board race champion, and he's the owner of Chaplan Swim School. Chris, over to you.
Hi Karen, thanks for the introduction. It's a pleasure to be here, and hello to everyone who's watching this.
Thanks, Chris. So to bring everyone up to speed, we've had quite a few questions come through ready for Chris to answer. We might just get stuck into it. We've only got an hour. So,
okay, that's good. Chris, I'm glad you've got questions.
Yeah, and it looks like there's more coming through now, so that's good. Chris, recent reports of children drowning, there's been a lot of drownings due to rips and strong currents. I remember back years ago when I went whitewater rafting, they told us to lie on our back and float downstream. What would you do if you're caught in a rip? What would you advise parents to do?
Well, if the parent's caught in the rip, just go with it. Sometimes it's safer out behind the brake. Then to attract attention, just put one hand up in the air. That's a recognised signal throughout Australia, Surf Lifesaving Movement. The secret is not to get caught in those rips. Bathe between the flags and be careful. And if you've got children with you, you just have to watch them very, very carefully.
So if I was in a rip, and would I be swimming with the rip or swimming against it?
You've really got to go with it and across it. And to do that, you need to have some degree of ability in the water to swim, but you can't fight it. If you try and fight it, it'll tire you out, and then panic sets in, and then you're in some real trouble. So you just really need to, I guess, take the path of least resistance, and just remember that the rip's not going to go all the way to New Zealand. It's going to stop outside the break. So just relax. The main thing is not to panic. Relax. Just go with it. If you can swim, go across it. But please, stay calm. Put your hand up for assistance. Someone will see it. Someone will ring. But the main thing is make sure you stay between the flags. Then you have help at hand, rather than somewhere between the flags, somewhere up the beach where there are no flags and someone needs to dial 000 to get help. So stay calm, swim across it if you can and go with it, crossing with it, and then remember it's not going to go all the way to New Zealand, so relax. Okay.
Thanks for that. I saw a news article recently about a father who jumped in to save his two children, and I'm wondering whether the question came from there. But in that case, I know he lost his life but managed to put his kids back on shore or in a boat, I'm not sure what it was, before he went under for good. If you're a parent, what would you do? Would you jump in, or would you try to throw an oar over the side?
A flotation device is great in a rip. If you've got a flotation device of any sort, if you know what to do, you can convert a pair of jeans into a set of water wings by tying off the base of each leg and doing up the zipper, and then banging the jeans down waist end first, and the legs fill up with water, and then you can keep yourself afloat on that for a bit. Look, just be careful around water. It has no feelings. You can't fight it. So one good thing is you should learn how to control it, how to swim well. If you're a strong swimmer, rips whole, no problems whatsoever.
Yeah, thanks for that.
In fact, in a surf race, you're looking for a rip. It gets you out to sea in a hurry.
Okay. Yeah, I don't like the sound of that.
An acquired taste.
Maybe. Thanks for that, Chris. We've got another one from Linda. I like this question. She says there's a lot of kids in swimming pools in the backyard and in public schools relying on swimming vests or backpacks or flotation devices. she asked whether that's a good idea to do that or whether it's giving kids a false sense of security.
Yeah, hi Linda, that's a good question. Let me prefix the answer by saying that when my children were young, if we went to a party barbecue where there was a pool, even if it was winter, I would put a set of floaties on over their clothes in case they fell in, because those devices can buy you some time. And my children were confident in the water, but still, it's a silent killer, and I was concerned that if they fell in, that they wouldn't be able to, with their clothes on, they wouldn't be able to get their head out of the water and call out for help. Look, the main thing about being in the water is to have fun, Linda. So if your child's got a backpack on, or a vest, or the floaties, sorry, any of those devices that help you or help your child stay afloat, help add some fun to what they're doing in the water. But it's not teaching them that the water will hold them up. They're thinking that the flotation device is holding me up. And to some degree that's correct. Really, it's a combination of the flotation device and the water that's holding your body up. And in swimming lessons, there is, on the very rare occasion, an opportunity to use flotation devices, but normally they do give a child a false sense of security around the water, and if they jump into the water without that flotation device on, chances are they'll get a fright, they'll go panic, and then they've got some real issues. And if they certainly don't know how to swim, they're in a lot of trouble. But the flotation device, think of it as a recreational tool. I used to think of it as a silent lifeguard when we're at a party. Look, I hope, Linda, that helped answer your question. But there is a place for flotation devices with children. However, they really need to learn how the water holds them up, how the water supports their body weight. It'll bring them far more enjoyment than with a flotation device, because a flotation device just does not let them go under the water, and they're missing out on the feeling of being totally weightless and totally enclosed in that water environment, which is very important in the learning to swim process. So look, I hope that's given you an answer, Linda, and some insight into what was a very, very good question. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Chris. I'm not sure whether, excuse me, you heard recently about the situation I was in. It was only about a month ago, but I'm always putting my twins in backpacks because on my own I can't handle the two of them in the water at the same time. We're at a party, and there was myself and 3 other adults who were a part of the family that was supervising my children. 2 were inside the gate, and 1 was actually outside the gate watching over as well while I went and helped a friend prepare food. I came back to find no adult supervision with one of my kids in the pool, and nearly had a heart attack. I wondered how many drownings actually occur because, as I put it, there were too many chefs at the party that day supervising, and everybody went off to assist the child that hopped out of the pool, leaving the other child in the pool. And there was no real person responsible because everyone thought someone else was watching.
Look, there needs to be, if children are around any body of water, there needs to be a designated parent who does nothing else but look at the pool. That's it, end of story. That's all they do. When the pool's empty, they walk away. If there's a child in the pool, they don't move. They stay there. They watch.
Have you heard that there's more drownings when there's a crowd of people? I know there was one at a dam the other day, I think in Queensland, where the grandparents and the parents were all swimming together, and it sounds like a similar thing actually happened, that everyone, I guess, assumed somebody else was looking after the child. Is that a more common occurrence because everybody's a little bit more relaxed when there's a crowd of people?
It is, Karen. It is. People are distracted. If you've got a pool at home, and it's part of your normal environment. Look, 99.9% of parents really watch their children very carefully, and there's no confusion. They're focused. Even if they get called to a telephone call, even if they have to make a telephone call, or someone comes to the front door, they're still conscious of where the children are. And responsible parents, if they have to go away from, if their children are going to be out of sight, they need to take the time to get them out of the pool and take them with them. But it's when there's a group of people and you're out of that normal routine, and mum thinks that dad's looking after the kids in the pool, and dad might think that grandparents are looking after children in the pool, that's when the situation becomes very muddy. And that's one reason why whoever is responsible for that pool needs to make sure there is a responsible parent, adult, or a very responsible teenager who is looking at the water constantly and just does not move. And that's what their one role. They watch the water and they control that pool environment while there are children in the pool.
Yeah.
So you just can't relax.
No, scary thought.
Scary. Can happen anywhere.
Yeah. And
it can happen. Sorry, Karen. It happened to a friend of mine who lost her 2-year-old in a tree. She was on her relative's property. They had been taking out some trees, and there was a hole left by a stump. It was full of about 250 ml of water, probably 2 metres in diameter. And there'd been some rain. The child fell in there. Mum thought dad had the child. Dad thought mum had the child, and the child drowned. And I know that woman to this day. It haunts her. So
that's awful.
Momentary that lack of concentration.
I guess that leads us on to another really good question. I didn't get this lady's name, but she said, what age is it appropriate? And it's probably not that clear, cut and dry that you can say an age, but how as a parent do you know when it's fine to leave your child unsupervised in the swimming pool or in the bath for that matter?
Ooh. In a pool, there's just so many factors that could influence what happens in that area. To me, you should never ever leave a child unsupervised around any body of water. That's why I was struggling with that answer. Even if your child's a strong swimmer, if there's 2 or 3 children in the pool and they're running around, it's easy for one to hit their head, and no one notices that they might be underwater for a minute before someone notices that they're not playing around or they've been missing. Even in the bathtub, I mean, you just never. I guess when the child can sit up and the water's not deep enough so that they can, that they can always get their hands on the bottom and their mouth out of the water. I guess you can, there's some degree where you can, go out and get a towel and come back in. But, leaving a child alone or leaving anyone who is vulnerable alone around water just scares me. It's something that I really struggle to do. I really think that I'm constantly looking at the water, constantly. So you just have to use your own common sense when you're going to leave someone alone in the water. If you got children that can swim really well, swim 400 metres, 500 metres, yeah, sure, you don't have to watch their every moment or movement, but as long as you can see the pool area and you still have control over that behaviour, you just have to really use your common sense. But with little children, never leave them alone around any body of water that's around 200 mil deep, because if they don't know how to get onto their feet, if they fall face down even in a small volume of water or a small depth of water, if they don't know how to put their hands on the bottom, how to keep their face in the water and bring their knees up and feet up underneath them and stand up, they can drown. They just panic. if they can't get their head out of the water while their hands are on the bottom for a breath, they're in trouble. So never take it. That can happen in a bath, that can happen in a tree stump hole full of water, that can happen in a swimming pool, can happen in a spa, can even happen in a nappy bucket if someone's fallen up small enough to fall in. So you just have to be really careful and use common sense.
Okay, thanks for that. I've decided I'll let mine be unsupervised in a swimming pool when they turn 30. Sticking with that. We have another question from Vanessa. She's asked, is there a way to make lessons not so expensive? She has 3 children and says she can't afford to send all 3 kids to swimming lessons weekly. Have you got any ideas around that?
Yeah, hi Vanessa. Look, we get this quite a lot. Most of our swim schools have got a discount for the 3rd child. However, you might look at joining a health benefits fund. There's quite a lot of funds out there now who subsidise swimming lessons, so that's an option for you. But the main thing is to be aware that most swim school operators, we really try and keep our lesson prices down enough to cover our operating costs and to make a business out of it. But we are very conscious of what we charge for swimming lessons, and I can tell you it's with great reluctance that we ever raise the price of swimming lessons. But there are forces out there, labour cost higher, operating overheads, heating the pool, and that depends a lot on what type of summer you have too. If it's a wet summer, heating costs some more. If it's a hotter summer, they're less. But there is a lot of pressure on swim school operators to run a business efficiently, supply a high quality lesson, and still keep the lesson cost affordable. And I'm very much aware that there are families out there who have 3 or 4 children, and that it is a drain on the family budget for swimming lessons. But like I said, most of our swim schools give out a discount for the 3rd child, and if you looked at various health benefit funds, you'll find that there are refunds within those benefit funds that will help offset and alleviate some of the financial drain. So that was a good question, Vanessa. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Chris. Actually, my healthcare fund gives us $500 back a year on swimming lessons, so it's pretty good.
Yeah, that's good. And if the swim school, like most of our swim schools are registered with various health benefit funds, if for some reason the swim school isn't, just mention it to the swim school and I'll take it from there.
Thanks for that. We just had a live question come through from Abby. Do teachers need to hold any certificates to be allowed to be a swim teacher?
Hi, Abby. Yep. Yes, I should say. Everyone needs a certificate, an industry certificate, either through iSwim or SwimEd. And there's a course that you need to go and attend, and then there's a certain number of hours that you need to, training hours that you need to put in at a recognised centre, and then once you have that certificate, you're then able to go out and teach swimming. And most swim schools and most of the bigger organisations will have their own in-house programs, as well as various workshops throughout the year that will help with your professional development. But the main thing is to get that certificate and get in there and have fun, because teaching swimming is fun. It's a great job. It is a real fun job. There's nothing better than hopping in the water and inventing a game that teaches a child a skill. But you do need that certificate first. And it's one of those things you either love or you don't love so much when you teach swimming. It's a great way to get involved in really making a difference in a child's life. In fact, I was having this conversation with a lady called Karen, who is a franchisee from our Tagum Swim School, the other morning, and we were talking about how good it makes you feel when a child gets that confidence that comes from being able to master that water environment. They've learned to overcome gravity, and you can just see the whole demeanour changes, and it brings such a confidence into their life, not just into their swimming life, but into schoolwork, into how they mix with friends. And it's just a wonderful feeling. It's a very, very special thing. So look, you know, go out, get that certificate, get in the water, have some fun. It's just such a good way to earn some money. Very good. And you can just express in your own words, once you get the hang of it, express in your own words how a child needs to learn those skills. But anyhow, look, I could ramble on. I'm really passionate about this, but I think I've answered your question. Sorry, I was rambling there a bit, Karen. Okay.
No, thanks for that, Chris. A question from Gemma. She says, how does she get her 5-year-old daughter not afraid of putting her face under the water?
Hi, Gemma. Shower is always really good for this. Without knowing too much of your child's history, Gemma, most children who are reluctant to put their face in the water have a bath as opposed to a shower. And if your daughter's very, very scared of water going over her head, just start with some really small amounts. Just wet the top of her hair with your hand so it's totally saturated. And then pour a little bit of water on that wet hair. She only needs 1 or 2 drops of water to go around her eyes. Just start with tiny amounts so that she gets used to that water touching her eyes, and then a bit more water so that it runs around her nose and her mouth and over her ears, but very slowly but surely build up that volume of water over her head so that she builds up her confidence in being able to control her breathing when there's water around her mouth and nose. And the shower is really good for that. And if she's reluctant to put her head under the shower, just turn the shower on, let the water dribble out of the shower rose, and put a favourite toy where the water's, dropping on into the bath or into the bottom of the shower. Some of that water is going to hit the toy, and that'll ricochet off and splash on her face. Only be tiny amounts. At first she won't like it, or your child won't like it, but they get used to that. And then as they get used to that bit of water on their face, they'll lean forward to look at the toy, and then they'll get a bit of water on the top of their head, and some water will go over their face, and once again they get water around their eyes, nose, and ears and mouth. And so you build up the amount of, or the volume of water that your child can start to handle over their face, and you build that up really slowly. And then when they get to swimming lessons, then it's over to the swimming teacher then to use the various skills that they have in order to make a child feel really confident they can take a breath and go under the water. But first things first, it's very difficult to teach someone to swim with their head out of the water. One of the first skills that you need is to be able to put your face in the water, and very importantly, open your eyes under the water. The first couple of skills you need. And the shower is a great place for children to learn those skills. So I hope that's answered that one, Karen.
Excellent, thanks for that. And for anyone who's watching that has that concern, we did a review of Chaplan swim schools a little while back, and Chris hopped in the water with my 2 young 4-year-olds at the time. And you'll see in the video that we did at the beginning, they had no trust whatsoever, would not put their heads in the water. And by the end of it, they're jumping onto the bottom of the pool, face down, picking up toys. So I think a lot of it's confidence. But he shocked me, absolutely shocked me.
That was fun. I had fun that day. They were such good boys. And I've just, Isaac tells me that, I think it was Thomas, swam right across the other day taking a breath. Is that right? Was it Thomas?
Yeah, I think Lucas, the one, actually the video where you've said, look at his breath control. He's swimming the whole width, and Thomas, when he started, would not jump in the pool, wouldn't jump in, wouldn't even sit on the edge and plop himself in. Now I think he yells out, oh, bomb dive or something, and just jumps in full on, swims back to the side, and that's probably only been about 7 lessons maybe.
Yeah, no, they were good lads. I know that Isaac, his teacher told me the other day that one of the twins did really well. He was impressed. So yeah, it's all about confidence. It really is about confidence and having fun. You've got to have, children need to have fun when they're learning how to swim. It's a fun environment, and that's where the teacher really plays such a vital role in being able to make the lesson fun, yet still be in control. You have to have discipline in there. A child needs to know that they just can't, jump off the side whenever they want, or dive in here, or push someone, or jump off the step when you're not ready. There needs to be discipline, but there needs to be fun. And one thing I try and get across to through any workshops or any teachers who we're trying to help improve their skill levels is, if you can invent a game in the water that teaches the skill, go for it, because that's a great way children learn. They love playing games. Yeah.
Excellent, thanks, Chris. I might just we're about halfway through, so take this opportunity to remind everyone that's watching, don't forget to log your questions. We're seeing them come through live, so as soon as they come through, if you hang in there for 5 minutes, we'll get it answered for you. I might just give us a short break, Chris, while people put some more questions through, and ask you about something crazy that you're doing. I read somewhere, I'm sure I've read somewhere, that you're swimming in shark-infested waters 18 kilometres across to Rottnest Island. Why? Why? You do that.
Okay.
What's wrong with you?
I'm crazy. Well, it's each year there is a swim in Western Australia from Cottesloe Beach to Rottnest Island, which is about 18 to 20 kilometres depending on wind and tide. And yes, it is Great White Territory, but I think the event's been going for certainly 28 or 30 years, and no one's been taken by a shark yet. Karen, you're doing my head in. I've got to clear my head of all these thoughts. The last thing I want to think about is a 4-metre great white shark charging out of the bottom of the ocean and getting me. It's not conducive to staying relaxed and concentrating on your technique. But look, something that I've wanted to do, and really that's not an issue. I mean, certainly wouldn't do it by myself, but I think there's 1,500 competitors, which means 1,500 boats in the water, 1,500 skis, helicopters, so to me, I'll try not to think about sharks. But what I'm trying to raise attention to is, look, swimming is a skill that you can do all your life. Okay, I'm 67 years old. I still love swimming. And if you learn the correct technique when you're young, it's there's very little wear and tear on your body, and it's a great exercise to do right throughout your whole life. The second thing that I want to draw attention to is near death by drowning, which is a terrible tragedy, because for that momentary lack of concentration, you might have to live with a severely brain damaged family member for the next 15 or 20 years. And unfortunately, there's very little research that's been done in this area on the impact that it has on families, both emotionally and financially, and on the taxpayer. The other thing I want to help promote is the Hannah Foundation. They're a local group, an organisation based in Ipswich, and they have a support in place for anyone who's had either a drowning in the family or a near death by drowning. And the support and I know that Catherine from the Hannah Foundation now has in place, she now has various teaching certificates, and she's got in place a program where she tries to rehabilitate children back into the water who've had a really, really dangerous or serious near-death by drowning experience. So yeah, it might seem crazy, but look, I really love swimming. It's such a joy to feel that weightless feeling and just to be totally relaxed. And well, it's almost like being one with the water. It's a wonderful feeling, and it's something you can do all your life. So yeah, look, I'll try not to think about the sharks. I'll try have to keep my head clear. Clear my head. Karen, thanks for that.
Well, I'm not sure how weightless you're going to feel when you've got a shark pulling on your leg. But anyway, I do hope as you're about to hop in.
Stop. I don't want to do more of this.
Plays Jaws music. I'd like to see that.
What was that, sorry?
I hope as you're about to hop in, somebody plays Jaws music to you, just to, yeah.
2 notes, 2 famous notes. Ba-dum.
Yeah.
Ba-dum. Ba-dum. You got a villain. A scene out of The Holiday. Yeah, okay. All right. What's next?
Okay. The next question we have is from Annette, and she asks, what's the best way to encourage swimming outside of lessons for putting eyes under the water, moving arms? Her son is 4.5 years old and's been attending Shapland since 18 months old, and he's still not overly keen to put his eyes in and use his arms and legs. She's asking, does the penny just drop one day, or is there something she can practice?
Okay, that was it Annette?
Annette.
Annette, hi Annette. Well, that's a very interesting question. Yes, the penny does drop all of a sudden. The penny drops. It's mainly when the child or your child really is convinced that the water is going to support their body weight. Being able to swim is all about confidence, and some children seem to take a long time to get that confidence, and others get it very, very rapidly. But to answer your question, what can you do outside swimming lessons? Let your child have fun in the water. Find a body of water, might be a wading pool, a public pool, where they're really comfortable. They can stand up in it, or they can lie down in it and put their hands on the bottom of the pool and their faces out of the water, and just play. Let them play. Let them get water splashed on their face. Let them have some fun. Look, all of a sudden you'll find that, hey, this isn't, your child thinks, hey, this isn't so bad. Look, I got water over my face. This is what my swimming teacher's trying to get me to do, and suddenly they start putting their face in the water. Once your child voluntarily starts to put their face in the water, I call that the golden moment. You know that the rest is really easy. But look, Annette, some children do take a long time to relax and trust the water and get their face in the water. One thing you might like to try is the shower. I'm a great advocate of shower time. That really does help people get used to water being in their eyes and around their eyes, nose and mouth. But Annette, look, just take your child. For goodness sake, don't try and do what they're doing in the lesson. Just go to a pool in a controlled environment and play, and let nature take its course. Let water splash up on your child's face, and then they'll see other children swimming around under the water, putting their face in the water. They'll have a try of it. If they do get a mouthful, just be positive. Just a bit like, you know, if you're learning how to ride a horse or learning how to play the piano and you play a wrong note or fall off the horse, it's no big deal. You just, you know, have another shot at it, but encourage them, plenty of encouragement. But it's all about confidence. Good question, Anna. Thank you.
Yeah, I found that with my own children actually, is all of a sudden it just seemed to click, and from there, when they were no longer scared, they just came along in leaps and bounds. It seemed to just happen.
I watched my grandson a few months back over at the swim school at Maruka, and he's quite confident in the water, but for one of the very first times, there was a toy on the middle step, and he just put his head straight down into the water and started looking for it. And like I said, that's the golden moment when you. And I've seen a few. Like I saw my granddaughter she's starting to do that now, and my partner's twins. One of them is he's only just turned one tomorrow. They turn one tomorrow. One of those little fellas is just today. There was a puddle of water on one of the mats. They were in the pool having a swim, and he just put his face in there. That golden moment, you know, they've got that control. So, but look, some children really fight it all the way, and it takes a while to develop that confidence. So, look, please, anyone who's got a child out there who you don't think is progressing at the same rate as other children in the class, look, really, it's a journey that takes about the same amount of time. Some children accelerate really quickly, others take a while. But at some stage, they all have to learn how to turn their head for a breath. And I guess it's a little bit like a sailing race when, you know, part of the fleet's got some strong wind, the wind dies off, and then the wind comes up behind the rest of the fleet and they catch up to the leader. So, you know, don't be worried, just be positive, give your child plenty of support. They're normally trying as hard as they can, but if you can put them into an environment where they can play, that's great. Good question. Thanks.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks for that. Don't forget to submit your questions if you're watching now. We've still got another 25 minutes that we can use if you send them through. Okay, Chris, the next question is from Belinda. I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old who have both been attending lessons since they were 12 months old. They've both loved swimming and have learnt a lot. They're very confident in the water. We spend a lot of time at the beach, and Belinda's question is, what should we be teaching them specifically about water safety at the beach?
Well, at 2 and 4, there's not a lot of, especially with the 2-year-old. I mean, the 2-year-old, just keep him right on the water's edge. The 4-year-old, if they're confident in the water, they may. The thing with the ocean you've got to be really careful of is your child getting bowled over by the white water, or by the wash coming up the beach. And when the wash, especially, and the 2-year-old, when the wash removes the sand from underneath his feet, we've all experienced that. That can be scary for a 2-year-old. But the main thing is to make sure that you go between the flags, or if you're, say, on Fraser Island and there's no flags up there, you have to structure a safe environment for your children. But don't shy away from it. If your 4-year-old does venture out and gets bowled over and flipped over and rolls up the beach, lands at your feet, provided they've created that situation and you haven't taken them out there and scared them, so come with me, we'll go out the back and body surf a wave in, you can hang on to my shoulders. You know, like if your child's a bit apprehensive about doing something like that, just let them go out, waist depth water, hold on their hands, let them get the feeling of the power of the waves. But if they're more confident in that and they don't want you to hold them, let them suffer a little natural consequence by getting bowled over. It's, you know, a natural consequence like that, provided it's under control scenario or under controlled circumstances, is a great learning tool. The thing that I find scares children the most about the beach is the noise. If there's a reasonable surf running, it's very loud, and the movement of the water undermining their feet, undermining the sand from around their feet, so that they can't stand properly. Can be two of the most challenging skills that you need to help your child with in those younger ages. So have fun. Of course, if it's if it's like say Currimundi Creek or a broadwater somewhere where the water's not moving that much, well, that's a different matter. But when you talk about the beach, we're talking about a lot of water moving, a lot of noise as waves crash down, and there's a potential there for a child to get seriously bowled over. So once again, have fun. If your child does have a natural consequence and ends up getting washed up to your feet, pick them up, tell them how great it was and how powerful the water is, and don't force them back to where they were. Just see what they do. 9 times out of 10 they'll go and try it again. And of course, if you've got a little bodyboard, a 4-year-old can lie on, and put them on a bit of white water up the beach. That's perfectly safe. If they fall off over the side, well, you know, they're not going to drown. You're there to save them. So, yeah, have fun at the beach, but just don't try and take a child or make them try and do things that they're not capable of, and give them a fright. Once you shatter that confidence, it's very, very hard to get it back again. So that's over to you, Karen.
Excellent, thanks for that. Matt's just submitted a question just now. He said, when's the best time to start swimming lessons?
Good question. The best time to start preparing someone for swimming lessons is right from the very first bath. The first time you bath your baby, that's a good time to start, because for the first 40 weeks of their lives, they've spent in a liquid environment where they're experiencing weightlessness. And what we need to try and do is make sure that after the baby's born, that they continue to feel that weightless feeling. The only part of the equation that you then need to teach your baby is breath control. And if you go to our website, I won't go, I could rabbit on for the next 10 minutes, which I'm not going to do. Just go to the Chaplan Swim School website, search Home Development Program, and you can read all about what to do at home. That's with Bub. Now, the question was, I think, when's the best time to start swimming lessons? Well, if your child is really confident that they can, if your child's confident with water going over their head, and they're confident, say, lying on their back in the water, or confident putting their face in the water, that's a really good time to start swimming lessons. And if you follow the whole home development program, by the time your baby's 6 months old, they're happy to do most of those skills. They're happy to start swimming lessons. If you haven't prepped your child, if you start swimming lessons, say, 6 months, 12 months, the teacher will help you through the various stages of gaining that confidence. So I guess it's a really difficult question to answer in terms of timeframes, because or ages, because that's really a choice that you need to make. You might say, look, I'm going to wait until I'm going to do what's in the home development program, and when my child's 9 months old, I'm going to take them swimming. Or you might say, look, I'm going to make sure that they can do all the things that are in the home development program. I'm going to take them to a public pool. I'm going to let them play, and when they're 12 months, I'll take them swimming. But really, we start swimming around about 6 months with the babies. Some of our swim schools delay that time frame, mainly because when you only take 3 in a class, we do have a limited number of spots to get into. That's why some of you watching out there might have already found that we just don't keep adding classes to the pool. We only ever take 3 children in a class, 2 classes in the pool at any one time. That has a purpose in it. It just gives us a lot more opportunity to give some more individual attention to your child. So the main thing that you need to do is make sure that they're happy having water over their head, and then when you're ready to start, you bring them along to a swim school and they'll take it from there. But just keep in mind, the longer you delay it, the more your child gets used to having gravity, the more your child gets used to mastering gravity on the land, the harder it is for them to adjust to being in the water. So once your child is walking and running and climbing and has mastered gravity, they can struggle when they go for a swimming lesson, because suddenly they're in a liquid environment where they suddenly are almost weightless again. So it has a really scary effect on some children. Even, say, an 18 months or a 2-year-old who can walk really well on the land doesn't necessarily mean that they're confident walking in water that's up to their waist. So the longer you delay the process, the more factors that your teacher has to overcome. the earlier you can start the learn to swim process, the less, for the want of, the less the forces of gravity, the less effect there is as a result of the forces of gravity. So if you've got a child who can walk, run, and is very capable on the land, it can be a hard adjustment to go into that water environment. Whereas if you've got a 6-month-old baby who's had water over their head and they can control their breathing, for them there's not such an adjustment. But it's a choice that as a parent you need to make. Look, it's a fairly long-winded answer here, Karen, but it's a little bit like asking someone how long's a piece of string, because it really is up to the individual to make that choice. So I was just trying to give you some insight into what happens if you delay having your child taught to swim. The more they're used to controlling gravity, the harder it is for some children to adapt when they get into that water environment, when the gravitational forces are reduced. For instance, your child might weigh 18 kilos, but once the water gets up to their shoulders, they might only have 200 grams pressure on the soles of their feet. So it's a whole different ball game. It can be very scary. It needs to be handled. Well, and most skilled swimming teachers are trained to do that. They're aware of the pitfalls of when a child first gets into water, and their whole feeling and the way they move, the way they walk, everything has changed. It can be very scary. Look, sorry about the long-winded answer, but there was no real short answer for that one. Thanks.
No, thanks for that. I can see your passion in making sure you answer everything thoroughly. That's good. For everyone watching now, we've got one question left, so if there's anything anybody else wants to ask, please go ahead and type your question directly into the form below this video. You can be anonymous, you can just put the question in, hit submit, continue watching, and we'll read it out live. Otherwise, we've got one question left, and that's a question from Jamie. She says that she can't afford to send her children to swimming lessons. She has a pool in the backyard, and she's wondering what she should be doing to get them as confident as possible and help them learn to swim without the lessons.
Okay. Just get them walking around in the pool, Amy. Just let your children just walk. Get them used to being in that environment. Get them in the shower so that they get plenty of water over their head and around their eyes, nose and mouth. And just keep stressing to them how the water holds them up, how strong the water is, how important it is for them to relax, and just make it fun. If you find that your child is getting scared, well, just back off. It needs to be fun. They need to be confident. They need to feel like they're in control of that water environment. And initially, you might find that they're very apprehensive. That's fine. Let them hang on to your hand, walk around, but find some shallow water, probably that's up to about their chest, and get them to start walking around in that. And then, as they get more confident, get them to sit down, get them to start sitting down so that they can feel how the water keeps pushing them up. One challenge you might like to give your child is, look, I want you to sit on the bottom for me. If they won't be able to do that. I think that's in that video clip we did with your boys too, Karen. I think that's one of the things I got the boys to do, to convince them that they weren't going to sink to the bottom. I challenged them to sit down, but of course they could go under. I mean, your boys had a fair skill level there. At least, I didn't have to teach them how to put their face in the water. They could do all those. They were apprehensive at the start of the lesson, but I guess the main thing I'm trying to respond to this answer is, you can just keep it simple. There doesn't have to be any elaborate try and float on top of the water. Just let your child feel the power of that water and get them used to water over their face and around their eyes, nose and mouth. Have some fun, and then you'll find that you will get to a stage where you might run out of the skills to take them to the next level. Once your child can learn so the water can, or is confident that the water will support their body weight, well, then you need to teach them how to hold the water with their hands and their feet. And it starts to get a bit more complicated then, and then how to get their mouth out of the water to take a breath, which really revolves around how well they can hold the water with their hands and their feet. So, but in the early stages, you can do a lot of the work. Just play some games, take your time. Anyhow, that's it on me, for me on that one, Karen.
Fantastic, thanks Chris. Well, that was the last question. If anyone's watching and you've submitted a question and it hasn't come through yet, please feel free to post any questions directly onto the Chaplan Swim School Facebook page, and I'm sure Chris will get back to you as soon as he can with an answer. But to wrap this up, thank you for watching. My name's Karen, I'm from Kids to Do. Make sure you come and check out our website, www.kidstodo.com.au, and head over to Shapland, have a look at their swimming lessons. They do offer semi-private lessons with a maximum of 3 kids in each class, which is amazing. They've only got 2 lessons running at any one time in the pool, so there's not so many distractions for the children. There's a parent viewing room. The pool is covered and heated all year round, and they're in 13 locations around Brisbane, Ipswich and the Sunshine Coast. So they also actually have a fantastic online system where you can look up your lessons and book in makeup sessions and things like that. Anything else you'd like to add, Chris?
Look, by all means, come down, have a look at what we do. We are different in terms of limiting the numbers that we put in the pool. But please, if you are going to come down to the swim school, make sure you phone first, because we don't want you to come down if there's no lessons on. We'd really like you to see a lesson in action and how our observation room works, and just the whole infrastructure that's taken really, well, my grandfather was teaching swimming in 1938, so from 1938 until now, that's a lot of years. And we've tried to develop a facility and a system that gives you a more personal experience, or your child a more personal experience with less distractions when they come for a swimming lesson. Semi-private classes of 3, maximum 2 classes in the pool at any one time, and very committed owner-operators and managers. So by all means, phone up, come on down and look at what we do. We're more than happy to see you at any one of our centres. So thank you, Karen. I guess that's it for us tonight, is it?
Yes, that's it, and hopefully we'll see you again. You're not eaten by a shark, I guess. Good luck with that.
Stop it. It's doing my head in. I don't want to think about that. Okay. Well, thank you for watching, everybody. It was a good experience, and I hope that I've been able to help you with some aspects of your child's aquatic skills. So, but if you have other questions, please submit them through our website or Facebook, and I'd be more than happy to take the time to answer that email, or if you want, phone you up and talk to you. So I'm happy to do that. I love swimming. It's been my life. It's been my family's life. I have a real passion for it. It's something you can do all your life. So you know, don't feel bad about asking me a question or sending me an email. I'll be happy to receive it. So thanks, Karen, and thanks to Kids to Do for helping, I guess, the community understand the Learn to Swim process a little better. So on that note, I'm going to say good night, Karen. Good night.
Thanks, and bye, everyone. Thanks again for coming.
Bye.